name is Christina XO, and it's been a minute. I think the last time I made a video was about a year ago or so. Yeah, probably a year. I stopped YouTube because I had a lot going on. I had school, I was working, I was doing extracurriculars, so I really not have time to make any videos. But since we're on Coronacation, since Miss Rona is taking over the world, I decided why not make a video for you guys. And today's video is going to be about college. If you do not know, I am a senior in high school, and this whole school year I've been firsthand experiencing the college application process. So there will be two-part videos. The first video, the one I'm recording right now, is going to be about just college in general, how to apply, what you should know type things. And then the second video is going to be about my personal experience with colleges and the whole process, because baby girl, I went through a lot. But we will find out about that in the next video. But I have a whole list of things to talk about today, so let's get straight into it. So when applying to college, there are 6 things that you'll need to apply to a school. Well, there's more, but like 6 essential things, like the 6 main things. And those 6 things are GPA, preferably a decent GPA, but we'll get into that later. SAT or ACT scores, teacher recommendations, a personal statement, the Common App or whatever you're using to apply to colleges, and financial aid. So now we're going to break those down. We're going to break every single thing down in case you don't know what those are. So your GPA. GPA stands for grade point average. It is essentially all your classes and the letter grade you receive in those classes added up, divided by the number of classes you have, and you'll have an average for that school year. And this gives colleges like a snapshot of who you are as a student. When you apply, they're gonna receive your transcripts, but it just gives them like a overall, okay, this is this person's GPA. Your SAT and ACT scores. A lot of colleges don't really have a preference now. In Illinois, we do the SAT. I only took the SAT because I didn't really feel like doing the ACT, so I didn't. I mean, it's recommended to do both because you never know which one you're going to do better on, so don't be like me, do both. But I didn't want to, so I didn't. But what the SAT and the ACT scores and the test does is essentially a standardized test that gives colleges an idea of if you'll be successful at their school or not. Which is dumb. Which is dumb. One more time. Which is dumb. Certain schools are test optional, so you have the ability to not apply to certain schools test optional. I applied to certain schools test optional. So teacher recommendations. So you're gonna have, I think, 2 required teacher recommendations. Basically what this does is that it gives your college an idea of who you are as a student in the eyes of a teacher or a higher up, an adult, whatever. They usually want your recommendation to be from teachers that you've had either within your senior year or in your junior year, because it's like the closest to you. So pick a teacher that knows you and likes you. Please don't pick a teacher in a class that you didn't do good in, you were disrespectful, or whatever the case may be. Pick a teacher that you know can speak about you really well, because it matters. Colleges are going to see this, and you don't want your college to read and be like, Christina, she was in my class talking, she was in my class sleeping, eating. You don't want that. You don't want that. So pick a teacher that you know can speak well upon you. Next is the Common App. The Common App is like basically a general application for most schools, most colleges. It covers information about yourself, your family, your education, as in like what school you attend, which test you took, the activities you participated in during high school, and writing, which is your personal statement and your supplemental essays. And then we have the financial aid. There are 2 different types of financial aid, and one that everyone should apply for, which is the FAFSA, the Free Application for Federal Student Aid. and the CSS profile, which is the College Scholarship Service profile. Now, the FAFSA, I remember the date on the top of my head. FAFSA comes out October 1st, and basically what this does, when you do the FAFSA, you're going to put in all your parents and all your parents' tax information, etc., etc., and then at the end of the whole process, it's going to compute a number, your EFC, which is your estimated family contribution, which is going to tell you and colleges what they think you'll be able to afford to pay for college. Okay? Now, the CSS profile is a more in-depth financial aid financial aid application. There are certain schools that require a more in-depth look of your financial situation. So what the T is about the CSS profile is it's going to ask you questions to verify information that you put in for the FAFSA to make sure that you're not doing anything or saying anything you shouldn't say that doesn't match up, so you can receive the money that you actually need and not money that, not like, extras. So, okay, moving on. Now we would like to talk about what to think about when picking a college. Now, I'm in this program, and what we call these are fit factors. These are factors about a school that you need to take into consideration to figure out, to kind of like to narrow down the list, because there are like millions of colleges and universities in the United States and many more outside of the United States if you choose to go that route. So it's very important when you're starting the college ad process to, you don't necessarily have to know exactly what you want, but to have an idea of what you want, because it will guide your process and it will guide the schools that you pick. So the first fit factor you want to think about is location. What region do you want to be on? Do you want to be on the East Coast, the West Coast, the North Side, the South Side, down South? Like, where do you want to be in the United States? Do you want a warmer climate? Do you don't care? Do you want to stay in state? You want to think about where you want to go to college. Then you want to think about diversity. Do you want to attend a PWI, which is a predominantly white institution, or would you rather attend an HBCU, a historical black college and universities? There are some major differences between the two schools. If you are a student of color, maybe you want to be in an environment that you see yourself more of, so you'll lean more towards HBCUs. Maybe you are a student of color. I'm a student of color, so I can only speak from my experiences, but maybe you want to be in an environment that is out of your comfort zone, so you'll know that you'll grow, and you know that being uncomfortable is what's going to help you grow. It really depends on you as a person. I recommend looking into both. I recommend not stick just to an HBCU or PWI. And if you do decide HBCUs, there are so many more HBCUs than Spelman and Howard and Park Atlanta and all those other schools. There are so many HBCUs out there, and I really suggest to really look into the smaller HBCUs because they can provide a lot. It's also good to notice do you want to go to a university or a college? The difference is that a college is usually smaller, and it does not have a graduate program, so there are less students, meaning that you may have better access to certain things, or you may have more access to certain things because you're not competing against graduate students, whereas a university includes undergraduate students and graduate students. Both have its pros and its cons, but you should figure out if you have a preference, and if you do have a preference, which that preference is. You also want to think of whether you want to go to a public institution or a private institution. A public institution is funded by the state government, and it means that usually the school is bigger and has bigger classroom sizes, whereas a private institution is funded privately with their own funds or from students' tuition or things of that nature, and it's usually smaller schools with smaller classroom sizes. You also want to think about majors. Do you know what you want to major in? Do you have an idea of what you're interested in, what career you want to pursue? Because if your school doesn't have your major, then you wouldn't want to go there. So you want to make sure you're looking into schools that have what you're interested in and have what you're looking for. Even if they don't have your major, they may have it as a minor, or they may have it as a track, or they may have it as a dual credit, or they may have it as a program. So you always want to make sure that you're looking into schools that have what you're interested in, because you would hate to go to a school that doesn't have what you want to be and want to pursue it, and then have to branch out elsewhere or transfer. Another thing is support. Are you a first generation student, meaning that you will be the first person in your family to go to college? Are you a person of color? Are you low income? These three things and any other identity are really important in finding a college, because you want to make sure you're attending the college that supports you. If you're a first generation student, go to a school that has a lot of support for first gen students. If you're low income, make sure you're going to a school with good financial aid that will help you. If you are a person of color, make sure if it is a PWI that they have a place for you to receive support for that. And the last thing you want to think about is financial aid. Are your schools merit-based or are they need-based? Merit-based means that the scholarship that you receive when you're accepted and the scholarships you receive throughout your time there all depend on your grade. So it depends on what your high school transcripts look like, and it depends on what your transcripts look like throughout your education there. Whereas need-based means that whatever, so going back to financial aid and the FAFSA and the estimated family contribution, if your EFT is $5,000, that means that your family can only afford to pay $5,000 a year for college. Then a need-based school is going to match that as much as possible. So say for instance you'll get a package and it's asking of you to pay $5,000 a year. That is based on your FAFSA because that is what you're able to afford. So they base their financial aid on what you need. What to think about after you pick your colleges. So after you think about your fit factors and you find, let's say, 10 to 12 preferably. Also, please, don't apply to 30 schools. I know people that apply to like 30 schools and I just don't understand it. I would say max 15, if even that. I applied to 11 schools. I really feel like it's not, it's gonna take a lot of time, and like the college process is a lot enough as it is. So like applying to 30 schools, that means you're gonna have to send transcripts to 30 schools, write essays to 30 schools if they have supplements. You're gonna have to send financial aid documents to 30 schools, transcripts. Like, bro, it's just, don't do it. Like, and not worth it, because I was stressing out about 11 and I can't even imagine 30. So once you figure out what schools you're going to apply to, the things you need to think about now, after you pick your college and you're starting to actually apply for them, you want to think about these. You want to think about whether you want to apply early action, early decision, or regular decision. The difference. So early action is applying before, I think it's like November 15th. The early action deadline, I'm thinking, is November 15th. So if you apply by then, that means that you'll just get your decision earlier, but you're still able to apply to X amount of other schools, regular decision or early action, whatever. Early decision is when you apply to one school by November 15th, and it is a binding contract. It means that when you apply to this school as early decision, if you get accepted into this school, you have to attend the school. You have to. It is a contract. There are ways you can get out of it, but it's really frowned upon to get out of an early decision contract. So you only want to do early decision to a school that you are really, really, really in love with, and you are confident that they will give you the financial aid that you need to attend the school. Because if you apply early decision to a school and you get your financial aid package and it's boo-boo, well, baby, you just gotta have a boo-boo package, because you gotta go to the school now. So now you gotta come up with $20K a year because you signed a contract. So early decision is really like not a common, it is common, but it's not a route that a lot of counselors prefer because it's really like iffy. I did early decision, but we're gonna get into that later. So it really is a conversation between you, your parents, and your counselor, whether you should apply to a school early decision or not. And then regular decision. Regular decision deadlines are really all over the place. You have some that are December 1st. You have some deadlines that are all the way in January. You have some that are in March, April. It really just depends on the school. So after you're thinking about, how you want to apply to these schools, you want to think about, is it available on the Common App? Or do you have to apply through their website? Are you applying QuestBridge? Whatever. So you want to figure out where you applying to the school from. And also, you want to think about supplemental essays. Now, supplemental essays are usually essays that colleges ask of, like, why do you want to attend the school? Or why are you interested in your major? Or whatever. There are some pretty basic supplemental essays, but there are some really out there supplemental essays. Like if you're applying to University of Chicago, their essays can be like, the tree is green. Write an essay about it. Like they're kind of just off the wall essays. So it really depends, but you want to know because not every school offers supplemental essays. I had some schools that did, some schools that didn't. So you really want to make sure that when you're applying, you know which school has supplemental essays. The next thing you want to think about is, do you have to do CSS? Because everyone does FAFSA, or everyone should do FAFSA at least, but not everyone does CSS profile. So you want to know if your colleges prefer you to also do the CSS. And then one of the most important things you want to think about is deadlines. Once you figure out whether you want to do early action, early decision, regular decision, whatever, you want to know the deadlines for all your schools, because that is really going to just determine how you time manage. Okay, so now let me give you guys some perspective. You start your senior year, September, August, whatever school you go to, and at that point you're looking into schools, you're trying to figure out where you want to go, you are hopefully doing college visits. I did a lot of college visits, and then as from September to December 1st, because that's the deadline my school gave us, you're applying to colleges, you're doing essays, you're sending in your SATs, your transcripts, blah blah blah. So it's December 1st. Okay, let's say you start getting acceptances or denies or referrals or whatever in January of the next year. Now, once you start getting your acceptances, these are what you want to start thinking about. How much will it cost to attend the school? But one of the things you're going to get back from a school is your financial aid package. When you open this financial aid package, please, let me say this. When you open that financial aid package, make sure you are going into it knowing how much it will cost to attend the school in its entirety. Not including personal expenses, but just the tuition, the room and board, and the activity fee. That is the total cost of attendance. Please go into looking at your financial aid packages knowing what that number is, because I did not. And at the end of the day, it changed my whole entire decision. Once you figure out what your total cost of attendance is, you want to look at what they gave you. Now, like I said, you're either going to receive, you're going to receive either merit-based or need-based. So you want to see what money they gave you, whether in grants or whatever, scholarships. You want to look into that. You want to see what that number is. You want to subtract that from the total cost of attendance. You want to look at what grants you receive from the federal government. You want to subtract that. You want to see if they included loans in your packages. You want to subtract that. You want to see if they offered you work study. Subtract that. Basically, just kind of deduct away what they gave you from your total cost of attendance to see what you'll pay. And then what you want to do is you want to look at you want to estimate your personal expenses. So like your books and travel fees and whatever else that is included in your personal finances. You want to include that as well to try to figure out, get a good estimate of what you're going to have to pay to go to the school. Very, 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 very important. Once you receive your financial aid package, which may be right away, may not be, it depends, but you want to make sure that you're thinking about that, because essentially it's going to determine where you want to go to school at. Unless you don't care and you want to go to a school, you're going to have to pay $50K out of pocket, but you don't. I know you don't, because you're smarter than that. So you want to think about that. So essentially, these are all the things that you want to think about when you start thinking about college, looking into colleges, applying to colleges, being accepted to colleges, and figuring out where you want to go. These are all the things that you want to think about. In my next video, I will be talking specifically about my personal experience with the college application process, where I applied to, where I got accepted to, where I got denied to, etc. So definitely stay tuned for that. If you have any questions, put them down in the comments. If you want me to do any specific videos about anything I talked about here, I would definitely do that. Just say so in the comments below. And thank you for watching my video. Have a good day. Okay, that was unnecessary.